Welcome to Fortress of Faith with Tom Wallace, calling North America to repentance and revival.
Yesterday was Father's Day, and at the church that I was at yesterday, the Sunday school teacher asked a question: do you think that the founding fathers would be proud of America, or would they be ashamed of what we have become? That was an interesting thought. I've been dwelling on that most of the day. And so I want to share some thoughts with you on that. First of all, I'm proud to be an American. I'm grateful for my heritage. I didn't choose it. Neither did you. If I was born in Canada, I'd be proud to be Canadian. If I was born in England, I'd be proud to be English. If I was born in Iran, I guess I'd be proud to be Iranian, Persian. I think it's natural, and we should have pride in our country and try to make our country the best that it possibly can be. Is every country perfect? No. Do we have skeletons in our closet? Yes. I mean, there was a time that our behavior in the world, how we settled problems internationally, often was with a lot of bloodshed. A lot less of that today. Thankful for that. I am concerned with the direction that we're going today. I think one of the things that has created success for America has been its strong Christian, biblical foundations. And there are those who are trying to rewrite our history and trying to change that, and quite honestly, they've been successful. We've dumbed down our children in the public school system. And please understand this. If you give your children, and I'm saying this is wrong to do this, to send your kids to public school, I think there's some good Christian teachers fighting the fight there, and I'm thankful for them. But you need to know and realize this. When we give our children to the government to educate, the government's going to teach our children to think the way that the government wants them to think. They have an agenda. And oftentimes the problem with government is that it wants to be God. It wants to replace God. It wants to replace the family. It wants you to put trust in government, and not in you. You're dumb. You're not capable of looking after your retirement. So we're going to take money out of we're going to stick our hands in your pocket and take your money and look after it for you. And trust us, we'll do you right. That's what FDR said. That's when the United States became a socialist style of government. That's when we started dabbling with socialism. Those that are retiring have found out the government didn't do a good job with our money because they stuck their fingers into that pot and spent it on things that they deemed was better than your retirement. But anyhow, don't get me going on that, all right? My point is that government wants you to think the way they want you to think, and as a result of it, we have lost touch with our roots, and we desperately need to get back to them. And here at Fortress of Faith, where we meet at the corner of truth and courage, we're going to have the courage to tell you the truth of what's right and what's wrong. And I'm thankful for those of you that listen to us daily on the radio and support us so that we can do this. So let's get to some history. Would our founding fathers be proud of what we've become, or would they be ashamed? No doubt, I think that they would be amazed at what America has become militarily, financially, how big we've grown, the things we've built, the things we have invented. I think they would be amazed and proud of that, proud of some of the things that we have accomplished as a nation. And even though we have our faults, we are still one of the most charitable countries in the world. We give more aid than anyone in this world. And when there is a need, we don't need the government to stick their fingers into our pockets to give. We give generously because because of our Christian background. But we're moving away from that. There was a time you never would think in America that we would vote against Israel. And yet now we're about 15 to maybe as high as 25%, according to Pew Research, up to maybe 15 to 25% of Congress have now developed an anti-Israel sentiment. You never, even before Obama, that was unheard of. I think things started changing in the Obama years. That's a growing sentiment. Then we look at values, voting values. No way would they have considered that we would make laws to kill the unborn children. And yet we do. About 50% of Congress, according to the Pew, about 50% of Congress does support that strongly. Transgender rights, and who would have thought that we would be a nation that would have considered making laws to legalize marriage between a man and a woman and so on. And so, yes, definitely. And having Muslims in our government, I mean, there'd be a lot of things that would shock them. Here's the things you need to realize. The Christian viewpoint was strong in our early days, and we need to be reminded of this history. So let me read it to you. In Delaware, in 1776, in the Delaware Constitution, if you were going to hold public office, you had to profess publicly, I do profess faith in God the Father and in Jesus Christ, his only Son, and in the Holy Ghost, one God, blessed forevermore. And I do acknowledge that the Holy Scriptures and the Old Testament and New Testament to be given by divine inspiration. Wow. To be a politician in Delaware, you had to say that. There's some preachers who wouldn't even declare that, sadly. In Pennsylvania, in Vermont, in their constitutions back then, they also, to take a seat in government, to be in the legislature there, they had to declare, I do believe in one God, the creator and governor of the universe, the rewarder of the good and punisher of the wicked. Ben Franklin, back when in the Continental Congress, he said this, he reminded the delegates, we needed God to be our friend and our ally. We needed to keep God's concurring aid, as he called it. And he continued, if a sparrow cannot fall to the ground without his notice, is it probable that an empire can rise without his aid? We've been assured in the sacred writing that except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it. He urged daily prayer being done at the beginning of their meetings, and they still do that today in Congress. In Washington's farewell address, which is missing from a number of the college textbooks today, you won't find it, but he pointed out that the two foundations for political prosperity were religion and morality. He said in his speech, of all the dispositions and habits which lead to political prosperity, religion and morality are indispensable supports. In vain would that man claim the tribute of patriotism, who should labor to subvert these great pillars. He's saying these are pillars that are essential to our government, and anyone who would try to remove them could not call themselves a patriot of this country. That would be anti-American. Not just anti-Christian, anti-American. They knew that government and the laws, that man could not create laws to control man to do good. Washington said, let it simply be asked, where is the security for life, for reputation, and for property if the sense of religious obligation desert? If we remove religion from the equation, and when they talked about religion, again, that's clear. The only religion that they were referring to was Christianity. And if we remove it that there would be no security for life and for prosperity. Thomas Jefferson said, the precepts of a philosophy laid hold of actions only, but Jesus pushed his scrutinies into the heart of man, erected his tribunal in the region of his thoughts, and purified the waters at the fountainhead. What he's referring to is the teaching in Matthew chapter 5, where Jesus said, the law says thou shalt not kill. But Jesus went on to say, don't hate your brother. If you deal with what's in your heart, hate. Without you can't murder without hate. Hate, it's a heart issue. Also talked about adultery, and then Jesus spoke of the lust. Just the lust is the problem. If you remove the lust, then you remove the adultery. And what they're saying, he pushes us at the fountainhead. The fountainhead is in the heart. And so what they're saying is that we cannot create laws to make people behave. John Adams said it best. He said, there is no government in the world able to make a person do what is right or able to control those who do not wish to be controlled. We have no government armed with power capable of contending with human passions unbridled by morality and religion. You cannot bridle a person without having some supports internally, and that's morality and religion. And he wrote this, he said this, our Constitution was made for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other. In other words, we're a government of laws. That's what the Constitution says. We don't have a king. We have a document, and that document empowers people with laws. But these laws cannot make people behave. What you have to have in addition are internal restraints, and our Constitution is made for moral and religious people. If you don't have moralities and you don't have religion, pushing those things into the heart of man, it'll be wholly inadequate to govern this nation. And I think because of what these men said back then, we know their heart. And I think they would be shocked and ashamed and worried about our future for our country if we do not return back to Christian principles and uphold these principles. My message to us here today, as we think on the fathers, being Father's Day yesterday, and thinking about our founding fathers. And I'm grateful for their values and their insights. That they were men of great genius. And I'm so grateful for that. But if we disregard what they said about the value of morality and religion, then we're pushing and directing our country into destruction. And we better heed this warning. The Bible says in Proverbs chapter 14, verse 34, righteousness exalteth the nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. And so we need to return back to the righteousness, the standards of biblical authority. And I want to thank you for joining us here today at Fortress of Faith. Join us again tomorrow at the Corner of Truth and Courage. God bless you. Have you ever thought of what a $10 donation could do to help your community? $10 donation could sponsor one meal at a homeless shelter, could buy a bag of pet food or treats for an animal shelter, or could help a small business by buying a handmade craft item. Or a $10 donation could help your community find guidance rooted in biblical principles by supporting Fortress of Faith. Here at Fortress of Faith, where we meet at the Corner of Truth and Courage, we tackle tough topics, answer the most challenging questions, and equip communities with tools to navigate modern life faithfully and confidently. Help your fellow man and support Fortress of Faith today with a $10 tax-deductible monthly gift by calling 800-616-0082. Again, that's 800-616-0082.